All right, you're welcome back. Time for Joy News Interactive, and the lovely Aisha is here with me. Hello, Aisha.
Hello, Erica. Good to see you.
Always
and,
good to see you.
You know, you're looking lovely as
Thank
well.
you very much.
And you know how to join the conversation. It's on facebook.com/Joy News on TV. And on Twitter, it's on Joy News on TV. You know how to join the conversation. Let's keep it tight. No harassment, no harsh words. Let's have a sweet conversation. So it's amazing the sharp twist to the brouhaha over how government intends to fund its free SHS policy. It all started with Senior Minister Safo Mafo hinting government is likely to consider using the Heritage Fund to finance the free SHS policy. Then a member of the Finance Committee in Parliament, Kweku Kwarteng, tries to draw some clarity and says government hasn't said so, and even if it will toe that line, it will first go to Parliament to amend the Oil Revenue Management Bill. Now, it turns out that Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, knows nothing about this plan, and he says the Heritage Fund is not one of the sources of funding the government is considering for the free SHS policy. That makes it more confusing, huh? So tell me, what do you make of these inconsistencies?
Yeah, the purpose for which they both argue, although they are all right, and depending on where they are coming from. But the purpose for which the fund was being set up for should have been effected for that purpose. So I side with the finance minister that it should be used for the purpose for which it was raised. But there should be a dialogue between the two. Although it may not be only the finance minister that is making such an argument, and then it may not be only the senior minister who is also making his opinion that way. But there should be effective dialogue, and then it should attract national debate or an opinion leaders. They should all come out.
It's kind of weird being the same government with two different opinions. You're supposed to work together, and but they have different opinions, so it's weird. They're supposed to work together. That's how I see it. Yeah, they are not together. It's like pushing someone back. But in government, you're supposed to help somebody, whether in minority or majority, you're supposed to help so that you move on.
As far as it is law, they have to be there, you see, and the president too have to take the advice, because they have voted for them to be there to advise to the president. So the president have to listen to them. Not all of them have. Some of their advices will be okay for him. I'm not saying that their advices should be 100% taken, but some should be taken. So you have to listen to them.
That was unacceptable for two of them to be in one party and then saying different things together. So it doesn't make sense. They have to sit down and then make decision to make the country move forward, to know exactly what they are about to do.
So right now, as the finance minister is the one who will be writing the budget and who will take full responsibility of the budget. So right now, we should wait for the budget, and whatever the budget say, that's what we should follow. So for now, the inconsistency, I'm not too comfortable in control. I don't know who to follow now.
I think what I think is that as at the time the senior minister was speaking, the fact that he used the word likely means that they've not made any firm decision on their way forward. I will assume that as at the time the minister was speaking, they finally made a decision, and therefore he was speaking based on the final decision. So that is my take on what seemed to be an inconsistency.
All right, so those were some comments from the streets of Accra. A lot more of the comments are coming on our Facebook platform. Araba will help us read them.
Certainly, Anaman Raspi says this may be due to miscommunication, but I can't think far. Was there a cabinet meeting to deliberate on such an issue? Let's be consistent in terms of decision-making and information as Ghanaians, or else the leadership will lose its credibility and respect because we are all watching. Richard Kweku Frimpong Manso writes, we haven't seen anything yet. This is a result of using lies to win power. These are the chaps who caused Nanado's inability to sleep. At least common sense has prevailed and they have eaten back their vomit. Oh, really? Such things would happen when you have two people do the same job but are separately paid from state coffers. God bless Ghana. Well, I don't know what you're referring to, Richard Kweku from Palmanso. But Don Lucas Podolski says, Aisha, he's asking you a question, Aisha. What happened is just an early sign of a clueless government. For the past 8 years, you don't know exactly where to get the funds. So that's the question he's asking. Yenwura Pa Akofo Dankwa says they were experimenting if people allow it, but clearly it's not so. So let's move on. Imani Presido's advice must be taken into consideration. And Senior Kweku Sarpon Jr. says, I'm confused here. I stand to be corrected, but what the senior minister said was, quote, we are planning or maybe use the Heritage Fund to finance the free SHS. The key word was maybe. I don't see the inconsistency here, but I think the media should be up and doing in their reportage. And that is indeed true. The senior minister said it's likely. He was not very specific on that particular issue.
But the finance minister said it's a no, I mean, it's not something they've thought of at all. Exactly. So that makes it a bit
still inconsistent, yes. So Shifman Osei writes, the minister is telling the NDC what they want to hear. After all, what would happen if the Heritage Fund is touched? In fact, government will tell the frustrated NDC what they want to hear and do what the suffering Ghanaians need. The free SHS is a must, and it is now.
And Nana Kweku Bini Bako says, as far as I'm concerned, they haven't contradicted themselves on the implementation. That's more important because it's the bottom line to this whole back and forth. The Media Simon says, the season of campaign is over. Men must get to work. Were we told during the campaign season the source of the funds to run the free SHS? Bambaki Asame says this is really serious. So who should we believe? The senior minister or the junior minister? This is an administrative blunder. Those are some comments from the streets of Accra. Now, constituting a new Council of States brings back that debate over the council's relevance. Whilst a section of the public feel the council has lost its relevance since its decisions are not binding on the president, others are worried that the Council of State has over the years become a stooge that has often been abused by subsequent presidents. I need your candid opinion on this matter. What do you think? Is the Council of State still relevant?
I think it's relevant they have them to advise the presidency. And it's his duty to also listen to some of them if they are really concrete reasons. So it's not everything that they will also say that he has to follow. He has to think for himself what is good, what is bad, he picks from it. If it's not binding, that means those there are not solid enough, because I'm sure there are others who speak to the president and he listens. So they should change them, but I think that position is really important.
I don't think that is relevant, because otherwise if they say no and they are not taking it, why should it be there? The Council of State should be there at all. I don't think it's relevant. Okay, otherwise I'll say the president is still young in office. He might take a second, he might have a second thought about this thing and come back to using the Council of State. I don't know what that Council of State thing is all about. Everything, the president is there as the head of state. And I would say he feels it's okay and he'll be appointed to do the job. And for the Council of State to be advising him and he saying no, if he stands on his feet and says no, then he should be out.
Very interesting comments, but Arab, I'm tempted to ask your opinion on this. What do you think about this whole relevance attached to the Council of States? Should we maintain it, or you think it's not?
Well, I have to sit on the fence here. I think that, well, to a large extent, they haven't really demonstrated, their usefulness to the country, to a large extent. But we don't know what goes on when they meet and what happens. Maybe the presidents past have taken the advice and the country has been, better off for it. So let's see. The new incoming members say that they're going to try and change up things so that they become more relevant.
Okay.
Yes. So we'll see.
I think we should give them that chance.
Yeah, I think let's give them that chance.
Yes, we shouldn't draw conclusions, right? Let's check what you've been saying on Facebook.
Well, Anaman Raspi says, he says, I personally think government's decisions are approved by Parliament and by law. What is this Council of State in for? There are also people in position at the Jubilee House who advised the president. So what's the relevance of the Council of State?
It's still relevant because even the Constitution provides for it, and
Exactly.
I think it's by no mistake that Council of State found itself in the Constitution. So.
Exactly. Now, Richard Kweku Frimpong says, I believe it's absolutely relevant to have the Council of State. My only issue is with the fact that the advice they give about certain pertinent matters must be made public, and sometimes with recourse to the general public. And I think I agree with Richard there. It's important that as Ghanaians we also know what they're advising the president, so that if the president decides not to take it and it goes against the public interest, we can all take some sort of action. Shifman Osei says, I think it's important. It's only important when you have a listening president like Nana Akufo-Addo, unlike the Yenti Obia Onapo 44.4% leader. Demi Dear Simon says, it is not so, I think. Even as an individual, a piece of advice or counsel from anybody can be taken or rejected. That doesn't make the person or the advisor irrelevant. And Senior Kojo Sapon Jr. says, the Council of State, in my personal view, should be scrapped. If the advice is not binding, then council, then what? Then what's their relevance? I think he's trying to ask.
And Nana Kweku Bako says it's a political veil that needs to be removed. Otherwise, they should be granted concrete powers to make their essence relevant. Those are some of your comments on Facebook. Interestingly and finally, if you grew up in Africa, especially here in Ghana, you should have a good appreciation of what wordings mean. And in the Christian world, some call it they do engagement, and after engagement they do white wedding, and what follows the weddings are normally extravagant receptions. And you find the same trend in the Islamic community, where we have huge wedding ceremonies, and which sometimes last for 3 days. Of course, I need to ask you to describe to me what you want your wedding to look like.
I like my dream wedding to be at the beach. Like, it's supposed to be a mystery. Like, with my wedding gown and my barefoots at the beach. That's my dream wedding.
Okay, so what kind of colors, what kind of people do you like to see? How do you want it to be?
I don't really like crowded people because I'm an isolated person. So I just love few people, and I love purple. I wish my wedding gown could be purple. Yeah.
I want it to be classy. And after the church, we'll move over to the reception, like pool party or whatever, have fun with my husband, you know? I want it to be unique.
Okay. So classy, what do you mean by classy?
I want it to be unique, a kind of special, you understand? That people of my class, you know, classy people will be there. People of timber and caliber. People that, you know, that know what's up. We'll have fun together.
Color, I like pink and then white. I think that's the dress code, right? And then the location, a place like Moving Pig. Yeah.
Just want it to be simple, you know, that you just register in the court, you know, just a simple, you know, in the Western world, they don't take things so, in Ghana here, you look at our life, you make things so expensive. We try to spend all our time, our money and resources in something. Meanwhile, you can't afford it, but you want to copy blindly.
Hey, in this Ghana, she wants a simple wedding. People will say...
No, but she makes an important point. Some people just want to copy blindly. They'll go and borrow. And when they are finished with all the, you know,
pulling them
festivities,
left, right, center.
Yes, they are in debt.
Come and
Why do
pay
you have
their
to be in debt? You have to be enjoying. Anyway, there are lots of comments coming in from Facebook. And TZTAMN says, in the Western world, there's an engagement. The moment the lady says yes to will you marry me? But Ghana, there is introduction, knocking, engagement, wedding, reception, and Thanksgiving. Can't we plagiarize the wise own rather than just their speeches? And Anaman Respi says, mine is all about seeing my wife to be's family, pay my bride price, and take my wife home to open fire.
I think we should cross over to the Jubilee House, where President Akufo-Addo is swearing in some regional ministers. Now signing the usually done after the ministers have been sworn in, and this would also affirm their commitment to accept the job that has just been conferred on them.
So why did he tell us to come?
Minister Kwame Duncan taking his turn to sign the minister's book. And that's how we wrap up the interactive segment. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. It's a Friday. Have fun.